What is up, guys? So, welcome to another deep dive. Today we're talking about something you probably use every single day. And honestly, it's something you might even take for granted. I'm talking about maps. You want to order a biryani, you need to meet a friend at a new cafe, you're planning a trip to Goa, Manali. These tools are woven into our lives. We barely notice. Have you ever thought how powerful they are? Not just lines on a screen, not just a piece of paper. They are stories, they are history. They reflect how we see our place in the universe. They do way more than take you from A to B, they shape your reality. The way a map is drawn can change how you see a country's size, its importance, its relationship with neighbors. A silent influencer for thousands of years. Ancient kings planning battles, modern entrepreneurs finding new markets. Maps are a secret weapon. They give a superpower, God's eye view. They reveal patterns. They bring order to chaos, from ignorance to knowledge, in intricate detail. Today, we go on an adventure, travel back in time, see how guides were born, from scratches in the dirt to hyper-detailed digital maps. This isn't just history, it's human curiosity, courage, the desire to explore beyond the horizon, how we mapped the world and mapped our potential. It will change how you see that little blue dot, I promise. Mind blown, coming up, epic voyages, political drama, scientific breakthroughs, a simple drawing that could start a war or create a trade empire. Meet the cartographers who risked everything. Twists and turns, like winding roads. Grab your chai, get comfortable, let's begin. An epic ride, let's do this. Let's rewind the clock. Way back, thousands of years ago. Before Google, before paper, before even writing was common. How did our ancestors know where to go? They didn't have fancy GPS satellites. They had something much more raw and powerful. Their observation skills. The earliest maps weren't printed on fancy paper. They were scratched into cave walls, carved onto clay tablets, or drawn in the sand. Imagine an early human, a hunter, wanting to tell his tribe where the best hunting ground was. He might draw a river as a wavy line, a mountain as a triangle, and a herd of deer as a series of dots. This, my friends, was a map. It was simple, but it was life-saving. These early maps were all about survival. They showed people where to find water, food, and shelter. They also marked dangerous places, like where a rival tribe lived or where predators roamed. In ancient civilizations like Mesopotamia, people made maps on clay tablets around 2300 BC. These weren't world maps, they were local guides showing property lines, irrigation canals, and city layouts. It was all about organizing their small world. In India too, our ancient texts, the Vedas, contain descriptions of the cosmos and geography that are a form of mental mapping, a way of understanding our place in the universe. It was the first step in a long journey of human understanding. The Greeks were the game changers. Thinkers like Ptolemy, living in the 2nd century AD, started to think bigger. They realized the Earth was a sphere, not a flat disk. This was a massive mental shift. Ptolemy tried to create a map of the entire known world. He used stories from sailors and travelers along with mathematics and astronomy to plot locations. He even came up with the idea of latitude and longitude, the grid system we still use today. His maps weren't perfect, of course. They showed a much smaller world with huge unknown continents. But the idea was revolutionary. It was the first time someone tried to map the whole globe on a scientific basis. But knowledge can get lost. After the fall of the Roman Empire, much of Ptolemy's work was forgotten in Europe. During this time, it was the Islamic scholars and Chinese cartographers who kept the science of map-making alive. Now, let's fast forward to a time when maps became more than just guides. They became tools of power. The age of exploration, from the 15th to the 17th century, was a turning point. Portugal and Spain wanted a direct sea route to India and the Spice Islands to get their hands on valuable spices like pepper and cloves. Why? Because the land route was controlled by others, making the goods super expensive. The key to finding this sea route was a better map. A map was no longer just a piece of paper. It was a treasure map, and the treasure was global trade. This is when maps became top-secret documents, guarded like military secrets. Think about it like this. If you were the only one who had the map to a hidden treasure, you would be the most powerful person, right? That's exactly what happened with nations. Whoever had the most accurate maps could control the seas, establish new trade routes, and build massive empires. Christopher Columbus, sailing for Spain, used a map that underestimated the size of the Earth. He thought he could reach Asia by sailing west, but he bumped into the Americas instead. This single mapping error changed the course of world history forever. It opened up 2 entire continents for European colonization and created a massive shift in global power and wealth. In India, the arrival of European traders was also driven by maps. Vasco da Gama's successful voyage to Calicut in 1498 was a monumental achievement in navigation and cartography. It opened the floodgates for the Portuguese, Dutch, French, British. They came as traders, but they used their superior knowledge of geography and maps to gain a political foothold. They mapped our coastlines, our rivers, and our cities. This information was crucial for their military strategies. A map could show them the weakest point in a fort's defense or the best route to move their troops. Maps became instruments of control, helping a small number of foreigners to eventually rule over a vast subcontinent. This power of maps continues even today. Look at any political dispute between countries. Often it's about a line on a map. The border between India and China, India and Pakistan, these lines are fiercely debated and defended. Cartographers who draw these maps have a huge responsibility. A slightly misplaced line can lead to political tension and even conflict. Maps are also used for economic power. Companies use maps to decide where to build factories, where to open stores, and where their customers live. Maps are not neutral. They reflect the priorities and ambitions of the people who make them. They are a silent language of power, paisa, and politics. Behind every great map is a great map maker, a cartographer. These guys were the rock stars of their time, a mix of artist, scientist, adventurer. Let's talk about one of the most famous, Gerardus Mercator. In the 16th century, sailors faced a huge problem. They were sailing on a round Earth using a flat map. This made it really difficult to plot a straight course. Mercator came up with a brilliant solution. He created a new way to project the spherical Earth onto a flat surface, known as the Mercator projection. On his map, a line of constant compass bearing was a straight line. This was a game changer for sailors. They could now just draw a straight line from their start to their destination and follow that compass direction. Mercator's map was revolutionary for navigation, but it had a big flaw. To make the grid work, it had to stretch and distort the size of land masses, especially near the poles. This is why, on many old maps, and even some today, Greenland looks as big as Africa, when in reality, Africa is 14 times larger. This distortion had an unintended psychological effect. It made Europe and North America look bigger and more central, while countries near the equator looked smaller. It's a powerful reminder that every map has a bias, a point of view. Mercator wasn't trying to be political. He was just trying to solve a practical problem for sailors on their long, dangerous journeys. Now, let's bring the story home, to India. We have our own cartographic heroes. One of the most incredible stories is the Great Trigonometrical Survey, which began in 1802. This was a massive project by the British to map the entire Indian subcontinent with scientific precision. It took decades and involved thousands of Indian surveyors and workers. One of the key Indian figures was Radhanath Sikdar, a brilliant mathematician from Bengal. In 1852, while working for the survey, he was the one who calculated the height of Peak 15 in the Himalayas. His calculations proved it was the highest mountain in the world. The British later named it Mount Everest, but it was an Indian genius who first identified its true stature. These map makers were true adventurers. The teams of the Great Survey faced incredible hardships. They had to carry massive, heavy instruments called theodolites through dense jungles, scorching deserts, and high mountains. They faced diseases, wild animals, and extreme weather. Many lost their lives in this epic quest for knowledge. Their work, however, created one of the most accurate and detailed maps of a large country ever made at the time. It was used for administration, taxation, and building railways and canals. It's a story of immense human effort and scientific dedication, a truly epic chapter in the history of map-making right here in our own backyard. The journey of maps from ancient times has been absolutely mind-blowing. For centuries, map-making was a slow, painstaking process. It required dangerous expeditions, complex mathematical calculations, skilled artists to draw the final product. But then, technology started to accelerate everything. The invention of the printing press in the 15th century meant maps could be copied and distributed widely for the first time. Later, in the 20th century, airplanes' cameras gave us aerial photography. For the first time, we could see the Earth's surface from above, leading to much more accurate and detailed maps than ever before. It was like getting a new pair of eyes. But the biggest revolution, the one that affects you and me every single day, came with computer satellites. The Cold War space race USA, the Soviet Union, led to the development of satellite technology. This gave birth to the Global Positioning System, or GPS, a network of satellites orbiting the Earth, constantly sending out signals. A small receiver, like the one in your smartphone, can pick up these signals from multiple satellites and calculate your exact location on the planet with incredible accuracy. This technology, which was once a top-secret military tool, is now available to everyone. It has completely changed our relationship with space and location. Think about the magic of what happens when you open Google Maps or any other navigation app. You are instantly connected to a multi-billion-dollar satellite infrastructure. The map you see is not a static drawing, it's a living, breathing database. It shows you real-time traffic, updated road closures, and even tells you when the next bus will arrive. You can explore a three-dimensional view of a street in Tokyo or find the best dosa place in your neighborhood, all from the palm of your hand. This is the culmination of thousands of years of human effort, from the first cave drawing to the satellites in orbit. It's a superpower our ancestors could only dream of. So what's next? The future of maps is even more exciting. We are moving towards augmented reality maps, where digital information will be overlaid onto our real-world view through smart glasses or phone cameras. Imagine walking down a street and seeing historical information about buildings pop up or arrows on the pavement guiding you to your destination. Maps will become even more personal, more intelligent, and more integrated into our lives. But as we embrace this amazing technology, let's not forget the long and incredible journey that brought us here. The next time you use a map, take a second to appreciate the story it tells. A story of human curiosity, adventure, and our eternal quest to understand our world. Peace out.